Bakhmut remains Ukrainian for now, but it feels like the Russian conquest of the city is probably inevitable. But has Russia engineered its own defeat by reconstituting its forces for urban warfare? I'm going to break it down. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It is March 8th, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Okay, first, let's take a look at the control map. You can see the biggest changes right here are the advance of Russian forces in the northern part of the city, and this actually just shows a repositioning of where Russian forces are located. Again, when you look at these sort of bowed features in the lines, it probably indicates that there is a planned withdrawal occurring around this front, probably as Ukrainian forces again conduct a fighting withdrawal across the Bakhmutka. Other than that, that is about it. There's some reports that Russian forces have also captured the town of Vasily. This is pretty significant as part of their larger effort to surround Avdiivka. You also, of course, see some, significant progress, significance, probably overstating it, progress in Vodiana. You can see they're seizing basically just open fields. But it's a testament to the fact that, again, Russian forces have been leaning heavily into both the northern and southern parts of this Donetsk front. When we look at the combat map, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, throughout the front line, Russian forces have been minimal in their attacks along the Crimea axis and in the Kharkiv Oblast, but have really doubled down on their efforts to push in and around Donetsk city, Avdiivka, and in Bakhmut. As we've talked about, again, this is Russian forces probably throwing their best at this. War Mapper, of course, showing that the eastern bank of the Bakhmutka continues to be abandoned by Ukraine as it withdraws. But you can see the encirclement and the pressure that Russia is putting on the city. Now, let's talk for a little bit about what sort of Russian forces are engaged in this fight. Well, as you might have noticed from previous videos, Russian forces have reconstituted their remaining military into something called assault detachments. These are tailored to use Russia's existing resources to make gains in urban areas. It relies on a sort of base of low training conscripts with limited support from things like tanks, artillery, and mortars. And this has proven a pretty effective organization in places like Bakhmut. Again, it uses what Russia already has, which is manpower with limited training, considerable artillery assets, and limited armored forces to conduct these frontal assaults with a degree of support that enables them to make meaningful gains even with pretty low experience ground troops. But there's a problem. And the problem is this, is that these gains are being made primarily by these ground troops. The armored vehicles are not conducting maneuver warfare themselves. They are sitting in the backfield and providing support, which means that once you pass out of Bakhmut, right, you can see how if your goal is to assault, we'll pull up this here, if your goal is to assault a city block in front of you with limited likelihood or regard for civilians, the assault detachment is a great method. It can enable you to push, right? Those light infantry can push into the next block, supported by their indirect fire assets and tanks or BMPs. But it becomes a problem when you look at terrain like this, right? Imagine if you are here and you need to assault, say, positions in this wood line as a hypothetical. Your dismounted light infantry would have to conduct a wide open field assault. And they're doing it on foot. So you're talking about walking a kilometer across open terrain. And you can see that the majority of Ukraine, eastern Ukraine, looks like that. So these assault detachments, while super effective at taking territory in Bakhmut, at least against the current Ukrainian strategy, is almost certainly not going to be able to enable powerful breakthroughs and make sweeping changes to the battlefield like we've seen in Kharkiv or Kherson, where significant territory changes hands very quickly. To do that, you have to have mechanized forces. Mechanized forces mean you have to have them led by trained soldiers. You need trained mechanized infantry. You need good commanders with good communication, all of which Russia is short on. Russia says it needs to recruit about 18,000 students to become cadets for officer training. And that the MOD needs to increase staffing at Russian universities to train over 280 different military specialties that are needed in this war effort. So Russia, we know they don't have the physical units to conduct these sort of major breakthroughs to really make gains in this war. They don't have the leadership cadre to do the coordination and planning necessary to conduct maneuver warfare. The fact is that this sort of World War I style of fighting, World War II style of fighting, you could probably take a Russian World War II soldier, drop them into an assault detachment, and they would feel right at home. It would feel tactically, and in some cases, even the equipment would feel very, very familiar to them. But you're not going to make massive gains with this. And again, as always, we zoom out and we have to place Bakhmut in context of the war. The answer is it's not that significant. And the fact that Russia has literally retooled its entire military to take this destroyed salt mining town is a testament to just how myopic it seems their tactical thinking has become. That said, if Ukraine doesn't launch a counteroffensive of some sort, then of what was the point, right? Russian forces can, without tanks, can perform effective defensive operations, especially if Ukraine's counteroffensive takes time to build. It can't do that. It has to execute well done maneuver warfare, and it has to do it while Russian forces are pinned in other areas. So anyway, guys, that's all I had for today. As always, thank you so much to the patrons of Patreon. You guys are the ones who make this whole thing possible. That's where I break down all of the videos that YouTube won't let me show you. The GoPro footage, the helmet cam videos, the drone footage. YouTube basically has said it doesn't want any of it on its platform, unless you're a major news outlet for some reason. But that's fine, because I put it all on the Patreon, and you guys are the ones who support me there. Thanks to my Colonel tier patrons and my Lieutenant tier patrons, and I know there's even been an update, so there's a few of you guys that we are going to get on here. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next one.